Well, for me anyway, it's hard to believe that the month of July is almost gone and we're standing on the edge of the month of August. So time seems to fly, and as I get older, it goes by faster and faster. That's why I think this message from the book of Hebrews is so important right now because it's really a message of let's get on with it. Let's quit fooling around with Jesus. Let's not be half-hearted believers, but let's really embrace him and follow him, even in the face of difficulties and even in the face of trials. So when we hit chapter 4 today, this is the last of that first section that's talking about Christ as being better in his person. And he's trying to bring this to a conclusion. And as I said earlier, in my view, this is a sermon. I think most people would agree on that. This is a sermon, and it's a sermon that is, I believe, what Paul preached in synagogues and was copied by Barnabas. So we are sitting in a synagogue in the first century, likely hearing what Paul was preaching, in my view. But again, as I said, no one really knows. So it's open to speculation, which I'm doing. Chapter 4, then, Paul is pulling this, or the speaker, the writer, is pulling his message together here in this first section. And he's urging the reader that it's not too late to receive the blessing that Christ has for us. Let's look at that. Therefore, while the promise of entering his rest still stands, let us fear, lest any of you should seem to have failed to reach it. Let's fear the Lord. Let's go after this promise. Let's make it our own. For good news came to us just as to them, but the message they heard did not benefit them because they were not united by faith with those who listened. For we who have believed enter that rest. So he's talking about, again, this generation in the book of Numbers. They did not believe God. They did not go into the promised land as God had commanded them to do. So they missed the opportunity. They tried to go later. They tried to change their mind and found out that they had missed the opportunity. What the writer here is saying is that opportunity is right in front of you. That opportunity to enter the rest, that is the blessings that we have in Christ. The blessings now and the glorious blessings that we'll have when Christ returns. Those blessings are available to us today, and we want to take advantage of them. Verses 8 to 10 makes the point that the promised land, the land that Joshua was leading them into, was a blessing, but not the ultimate blessing. It wasn't the ultimate place of blessing. There was another place of rest that was coming, and that is before the hearers of this. Verses 11 through 13 then urges them to strive to enter the rest that Jesus gives. So this rest is not only for today, but for the future eternity as well. That Jesus will come with his reward. He'll come with rest. And again, I encourage you, put yourself in the seat of the members of the synagogue. As you recall from, say, Acts chapter 13, when Paul preached a message of salvation in the synagogue, it led to conflict. It led to acrimony. It led to violent opposition that the hearers had to be ready to suffer. And we also need to be ready to suffer, but in that suffering, we'll know the peace of Christ. We'll know the security that we are aligned with the will of Christ. Just as Jesus had peace as he faced his own death, just as Jesus suffered according to the will of his Father in security. So in verses 14 through 16, it's a call. It was a call to those first century believers, and it's a call to us today to rest in Christ. receive the blessings of mercy and grace that is so rich and full in him, even today, as well as look forward to that ultimate mercy and grace that will be ours when Jesus returns. That moment when we stand before his judgment seat and he rewards us for our faithfulness and perseverance. That's what the writer is talking about here. He's urging these readers to go on as he urges us to go on as well. I'm reminded of a story told about Martin Luther. If you know anything about Reformation history, Luther, the first reformer really, was condemned by the Roman Catholic Church, condemned to death. He was liable to die, be executed for his beliefs, as they would consider him a heretic. Luther, who always seems to be at war, if you read his biography, and always under the threat of death, once said that if he has a day ahead of him that is going to be difficult, that'll be full of challenges, what he does is he gets up extra early in order to pray extra long. I think, brothers and sisters, we need to have that same sort of attitude. That trials that come into our lives deserve additional prayer because it's hard for us to stand firm faced in those trials. It's fearful. It can be discouraging. It could be disappointing. We saw, for example, in the book of Philemon, that Philemon was a faithful brother, yet challenged to be even more faithful. And that's where we're at. We are challenged to be even more faithful in our Christian walk. So, some things to learn here. The disobedient really have no rest. If you are not walking with the Lord, if you have drifted away, if you have neglected him, you have no rest. I often wonder how much depression or how much anxiety is due to the fact that a believer has drifted away and neglects the Lord. Try it. If you are feeling worried, if you are feeling bummed out, depressed, spend some extra time in prayer. Bring that to the Lord. Allow him to minister to you in prayer. And finally, struggle against the temptation and the suffering that might come with it, knowing that you'll receive the blessing of Jesus in here, the approval of God as you persevere, as you continue. Struggle with that. Stand firm, let nothing move you, as it says in Corinthians. Always give yourself fully to the work of the Lord. So I pray you, brothers and sisters, I don't live in an ivory tower. I'm not immune to challenges. I'm not immune to disappointment and heartbreak. But the Lord has seen me through it, and he will also see you. So take heart, and take heart from the pages of Hebrews chapter 4, that we are to continue in him, and it's not too late, even this very moment, to spend time with the Lord and receive from him the mercy and grace that he offers us. God bless you, brothers and sisters. Have a great weekend in the Lord, and reflect on the things that you've read and studied this week. God bless you.